Hey everybody, welcome back to Guns and Gadgets, the premier source for Second Amendment news. A little different today. I wanted to do a follow-up video on the YouTube short I did yesterday about what happens after you defend yourself with a firearm. I did it in the shorts, the YouTube shorts format, which only gives you 59.9 seconds, and you just can't put all of that in less than a minute. So there was a lot of good discussion as a result of that little video, so I figured I'd elaborate on it today because there's a lot of detail that will happen that people need to know about. And I want to first say that your mileage may vary. Depending on the state you live in, your laws are different. So you could have castle doctrine or stand your ground. Just be aware that this is a general overview, the 10,000 foot view, if you will, of what to expect if you have to defend yourself, if you're forced to defend your life with a firearm. Also, I'm not taking into effect all of the different state laws regarding open carry, concealed carry, because there's always somebody who's going to say, well, my state does this, and not all states are the same, so keep that in mind. Also, I got a couple people who reached out and said, what do you know about this at all, and what's your experience? So for those who might be new to the channel, 25 years in law enforcement, I have responded to hundreds and hundreds of scenes of shootings. A couple of them have been defensive shootings, and before somebody starts typing away, no, I have never arrested somebody for illegally defending themselves. Never. I'll also say that sometimes people claim self-defense, but investigation, evidence, witnesses, video sometimes proves that it wasn't. Shocker, some people actually do lie. So with all that said, let's jump into this. So if you are forced to defend yourself, you're placed in fear of your life, you think death is imminent. Another thing I want to jump out and say real quick is perception is different for everybody, and nobody can tell you that your perception is wrong. What you perceive as an imminent lethal threat, it puts you in fear of your life, is going to be different for somebody else. In classes I teach, there's a guy who's 6'6", 300 pounds, jacked, built like a brick house. He's not going to think some things are a threat to him that a small-statured person who's 5'2", 85 pounds might. Okay, so there's differences. So again, take that into mind. So it's different from state to state, but for whatever reason, we're going to use a scenario that you have been placed in imminent fear of losing your life, and you have to respond and you defend yourself with a firearm. What happens from there? So first off, you should call 911. And there were a lot of people who were commenting a whole bunch of other things, and I know some of it is said in jest, and I get it. But you should be calling 911. Even if you happen to shoot somebody and they run away and you don't know who they are, you want to be the first person who calls 911 because that helps you and your attorney control the narrative. Now, I mentioned 6 points yesterday of what happens when you defend yourself with a firearm, and like I said, they were very, very brief, and I couldn't elaborate on them. But you should call the police, should call 911. What you need to say is what happened. Be very short, be very concise, straight to the point, and nothing else. I was attacked. I was in fear of losing my life. I thought they were going to kill me. Something similar like that. Whatever your scenario is, and I was forced to shoot them. I was forced to defend myself. I'm armed. Give them your name. Give them what you are wearing, your description, because now they're coming for a shooting. They want to make sure, they're going to try to secure the scene, and you want to make sure that they know that you are the good guy, okay? Once they get there, the police, the things that I said yesterday are going to probably happen. The scene will be secured. There's a shooting. They're going to want to secure that scene. You might be placed in handcuffs. You might. Your state may vary, but there's a very good chance you might be secured in handcuffs. And then you're going to want to tell them not much more. Basically what you reiterated to dispatch. And when you call 911, remember it's recorded, so you don't want to say anything that could be used against you later. Now, I'm going to time this out right quick and tell you that law enforcement, when they have to defend themselves or somebody else, when they shoot somebody, they are given 24 to 48 hours, depending on the state, to decompress before they have to make their official report, their official written statement. Are you given that opportunity? No, you're not. So you're going to have to do things to give yourself an opportunity to decompress. So when they come, say, I had to defend myself, I was forced to defend myself. If you can point out witnesses, they saw it, or if you can point out evidence, his gun's there, or her knife's there, and then say, I I would like to consult my attorney. I wanna be helpful, but I need to speak with my attorney first. Another option is call an ambulance. You're going to be jacked. You're going to be stressed. You're going to have that adrenaline dump, especially if you're not training for stuff like that. If you've never been in stressful situations, that fight or flight is real, and your body's going to be reacting to the chemicals that are dumped into your system from this startle response, from this fear of you having to lose your life. So go to the hospital and make sure you call an attorney. If you don't have one, there's a myriad of different ways. I told you yesterday what I use for my family, and people were responding to what they use, and that's fine. Everybody doesn't have to use what I use, and I'm not forcing anything on anybody, just telling you what I use, and I've been very happy with them. So your mileage may vary, and I strongly suggest you have an attorney. If you don't want to use one of those self-defense type companies, you should have an attorney on retainer, especially if you've made that decision to carry a gun. But if you don't, you need to get one immediately. And for 25 years in courts, I will tell you, you get what you pay for. Keep that in mind. Court-appointed attorneys are court-appointed attorneys for a reason. I'll leave it at that. I know there's going to be some court-appointed attorneys in here, and that's just generalization. Some of them are great, some of them aren't. But you generally, when it comes to specific styles of legal defense, whether it's self-defense or an OUI defense, or that's DUI in some other states, or drug charge defense, you're going to have attorneys that specialize in that are really, really good in what they do, and you get what you pay for. All right, so the police are there. You want to talk to your attorney. If you want to get checked out, make sure you're not injured. Go to the hospital, and then STFU. Don't say anything else. You have a right to remain silent, and I always recommend you utilize that right. Always. Yes, I've said it to people on scenes too. You have the right to remain silent. I suggest you utilize that right. I've said that thousands of times in my career. It's extremely important because sometimes people get loose lips because they get scared and they want to make sure that they're saying the things that need to be said, and sometimes those will be used against you, even if you're 100% right. So keep that in mind. Now again, depending on your state, some people said my state wouldn't do that, but I'm going to probably, unless it's like point blank and it's obvious to everybody involved that you were 1000% in the right, indisputable evidence. You may not be charged, you may not be interrogated, it may be over and done, but that is a very rare scenario, I would venture to guess. I've worked in several states, I wouldn't say numerous, and I've been on tens of thousands of scenes in all kinds of scenarios, and that's really, really rare. I'd put that in the 1 to maybe less than 1% chance of happening. So you will be you're going to want to question you, they're going to want to interrogate you, they're going to want to make sure that your self-defense was self-defense. And that's what you need a really good attorney for. But know that you're probably going to be cuffed at the scene for security reasons. Once you're not deemed not a threat, you're not going to be in cuffs long. Some states might lock you up. Because they're anti-gun and they suck. And your gun will be seized for evidence. And it will be for the entire length of the trial if it goes to trial. Now, if you have a district attorney that says, nope, the preliminary evidence yields that this was a self-defense, we're not going to charge this individual, you'll get your gun back at that point, or maybe a couple days after. You got to jump through hoops, but you'll get it back. In a longer criminal type investigation, you're not going to get it back until the end of that trial, and God forbid you are found to be the aggressor. If you were actually committing murder while claiming self-defense, you're not going to get that gun back. Now, I always tell students that after you have to defend yourself, you pull the trigger. Now the hardest part of everything begins. Now this is when you have the legal side of it taking a place, the moral side of it, the ethical side of it, and the monetary side of it. You just had to defend somebody. You just inflicted injury on. Now, some people that's not really going to bother them much. Some people, that's going to really bother them. So keep that in mind. You're going to need help for that stuff, and don't be afraid to ask for it. With that said, you're going to have to post bail or bond, depending if you were arrested or not, and it could be very sizable depending on the state you live in. So keep that in mind. This is where the money side starts, and if you don't have like a really big nest egg, this is going to affect Can you pay your bills? Can you pay your mortgage? Stuff like that. Because this is going to be very, very expensive fast. You're dealing with attorneys, you're dealing with bail or bond, and hopefully you're not going to be sitting in a jail cell for an extended period of time and lose your job. Now, another note I want to throw out there is, if you are charged, if you're a district attorney for your locality, your county or whatever, if they'd elect to charge you, you're often given the opportunity when you're charged with a crime, if you want a judge trial or a jury trial. And a judge trial is just that. The judge is the finder of evidence, weighs the evidence, considers everything from both sides, all the statements, and then renders a decision based off of what the law states and what he or she has observed in the courtroom. I've always wondered why people choose that route, because a judge, and let's be real, in a lot of states they're politically appointed and or elected. So if they're elected or politically appointed, they probably meet or are really close to the political ideologies of the powers that be in your jurisdiction. So keep that in mind. All right. So if you're in an anti-gun area, say you're in New York City, Boston, Los Angeles, San Francisco, you're playing with fire if you say I want a judge trial, because judges can be they're people. Okay, they're people, and they can be swayed based off of outside pressures. They're not supposed to be, but they can. So you have the jury trial as the other option, a jury of your peers, and there's more people's opinion to take into account other than one. So keep that in mind as well. And that's basically, I mean, in a nutshell, it sounds easy, but you're going to go under an intense amount of stress. Your family is as well. You're going to have media outside of the house, or maybe even follow your family around, depending on how the case is, if it's a headline type case or not. But there's a lot of things that go in, and even the things I've mentioned here to try to broaden the horizon, because I don't want to make a 400-hour video. There's even more that happens in those scenarios, but it's a better view than I can do in 59 seconds. And remember, I'll say it again, you have the right to remain silent. Always exercise that right. Know your rights, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't know your rights, start learning it. Read the Bill of Rights. Take a class. There's a lot of things you can do to learn what your rights are. You do not have to talk to the police. You cannot be compelled to give evidence against yourself. So know those things and utilize them. They're there for a reason. All right. So hopefully this is a little bit better scenario explainer for you. I just think I just created that phrase. But, the 59-second little blurb yesterday, while the format is like what everybody's pushing, that 1 minute or less format, you really can't do a full video in it. So hope this helps out a little bit. Let me know what you think about those down below. I know this, like I said, mileage may vary. Different states have different styles of response. Different states have different requirements, policies, or procedures for the law enforcement personnel on how they respond to different scenarios and scenes. So your mileage may vary, but if you found this helpful, let me know down below. If you would like some other maybe advice type videos from the law enforcement side, because I think I could help answer your questions. And let me know what you think down below. Until we see each other again, be safe, stay vigilant, carry your weapon, and have a fantastic day. Enjoy your Sunday. Take care.